everyone's hard drives. The files are out there. They have been downloaded. They're down. There's no up anymore. They're all down.
Never, never, never.
You know, there's nobody you can go to and say, shut down the file sharing. The internet's just not built that way.
We're surrounded by images. Every day, everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it. But the problem with these images is that they're not yours. People's lives are determined by images that they have no rights to whatsoever. And let's say it's a very unfortunate situation.
There's this work of mine that people have described as a series of unattainable women. In fact, it's a series of unattainable images.
The one last mission of cinema is to make sure that images are not seen. That's why we have DRM, copy protection, rights management, region coding, all that stuff. But if an image is seen, then it tells you one thing. It's not your image. It's their image.
You'll never have me.
It's none of your business. Don't copy it, don't modify it, just forget about it. You can't just say, hey, it's just the movies. It is reality. It's a very specific reality of properties.
Radio, television, newspapers, film. At the heart of all of them, there is a very clear distinction between the producer and the consumer. And the idea is a very, very static one, that here is a technology that allows me to communicate to you, but it's not really a conversation that one has in mind.
It used to be if you had a radio station or television station or a printing press, you could broadcast your views to a very large number of people at quite a bit of expense, and a fairly small percentage of the population was able to do that.
The materials were produced by some set of professional commercial producers who then controlled the experience and located individuals at the passive receiving end of the cultural conversation.
I'm John Wayne. We believe in many things, but I'm John Wayne.
If you wanted to change the way the television broadcast network works, good luck. You're going to have to get the majority of the shareholders to agree with you, or you're going to have to replace some very expensive equipment.
In the world of that universe where you needed to get distribution, there were gatekeepers that stood in your way.
I know that there's gatekeepers out there at every level, by the way. Certainly production, funding, exhibition, they can get fucked as far as I'm concerned.
You would need to satisfy the lawyer for the network or the lawyer for the television station or radio station that what you've done is legal and cleared and permissions have been obtained and probably insurance has been obtained before you could get into the channels of mass media communication.
The number of people who could actively speak was relatively small, and they were organized around one of the only two models we had in the industrial period to collect enough physical capital necessary to communicate, either the state or the market, usually based on advertising.
This is the question that faces us today. If the battle against sharing is already lost, and media is no longer a commodity, how will society change?
Those whose permission was required are resisting this transition, because control is a good thing to get if you can get it.
The control that used to reside in the very making of the artifacts is up for grabs.
Should we expect changes as massive as those of the printing press?
There's plenty of people who are watching the worst kind of soap opera right now, over the planet, and I can't save them, as hard as I've tried, I can't save them.
But do we need saving? Will there still be a mass-produced and mass-oriented media from which to save us?
Music didn't begin with the phonograph, and it won't end with the peer-to-peer network.
Chipmunk, circular, fucky, ice king, UV, SPP. We up K, we up suits all day long, it's nothing. We up just, we up Nats, everyone. Alright, listen. And I couldn't give a shit if you're older. This younger's way older. 10 years then I'ma be known as a veteran older. I swear down it will stay colder. So don't try and tell me you're older. You can be older, I'll be more music. Mixtape promos, everything's out there. So don't try and tell me I don't do this.
The panic of the movie industry and the music industry is that people could actually start to produce, and that file sharing networks, file sharing technology enables them to produce stuff.
I do this, I'm colder, better than most out older. I take out any that are younger. Listen me, are you dumb? You're an idiot. You'll never get this chip off your shoulder. This kid's colder than you were when you were this age. A whole Europe will protest with this page. Please don't play. Wiley Dunn said that playtime's over. Playtime's over. Playtime's over. Since year 6 I've been a playground soldier. Them days were Liverpool and Liverpool G, but now everything is colder. Now it's content flows and everything. Mixtape promos, everything. Don't you name your favorite MC? I write the 60, make him look like anything.
People have lamented much the death of the author. What we're witnessing now is far beyond. It's the becoming producer of former consumers. And that suggests a new economic model for society.
Why? Because I'm going on show. I move fast, you're going on show. Like your TV out for the ratings, but my TV out for the dough. In the air, that's show. Hey, what we're going on show? So you put man paying me a bill, no less. I've got the right to run down the show. No.
It's not so much the fact that the Phantom Menace is downloaded 500 times or 600 times, etc. Yeah, of course there is, an imaginary specter of economic loss that informs that. But the real battle or the real threat lies in a shift in the ways that we think of the possibilities of ourselves as creators and not merely as consumers.
It's like a whole network. This is a song that I've given out, and I've let people download it, and they can download it, do what they want. I've made a blog about it saying, oh look, DJs, you can play this where you want. Like there's this guy in Brooklyn, and he's just done a remix of it, just like, it's totally different to what I thought, but he's just this guy from Brooklyn, and I really respect that in him, that he came back to me and he said, look, and it's going on his mix album.
One of the things that intrigues me tremendously about the proliferation of material that's out there in the world for people to grab is the potential creation of millions of new authors.
Thanks to the internet, thanks to digital technologies, the gatekeepers have really been removed.
People can take more of their cultural environment, make it their own, use it as found materials to put together their own expressions, do their own research, create their own communications, create their own communities when they need collaboration with others. Rather than relying on a limited set of existing institutions or on a set of materials that they're not allowed to use, without going and asking, please, may I use this? Please, may I create?
Basically, in terms of samples, not many people go out of their way to clear samples.
Then right about now, like, I've got the things on the fruity slicer, like it's on different keys, so it's just different parts of the sample. Like it's just some Turkish tune I don't even know who's by. Like it's just some random sample.
I make mainly instrumentals, so really I've made a tool for them to sort of MC to anyway.
It's good that people are ruthless enough to use another person's tune and record themselves like spitting bars over it.
Look, I'm taking over now, but then the game says 2-3 October now. I'm fucking it up, listen to over now. I'm setting the pace, how you gonna slow me down? Look, it's over clown, I got the skippiest flows in town. Plus, you niggas can't fuck with my wordplay. I switch it back, DJ, bring it back, why?
Sometimes you get the big artists freestyle on your stuff and just sort of put it out there on their CDs and you don't even know about it.
We live in this world in which absolute abundance of information is an everyday fact for a lot of us. And this means we have a certain attitude towards the idea of information as property. It's like you've heard. Sharing it is in our blood. So the struggle to hold on to knowledge and creativity as a commodity, by force, it's going to be met by our strong urge to share, copy, and cooperate.
Kids, if they sample my music to make the music, that would be another good thing as well. I would like that as well. I want them to do that, like, if I made an old tune, take a bit from it, drop something over it and make it music, make it big. If you can do that, do that.
When you put primary materials in the hands of ordinary citizens, really, really interesting things can happen.
I ain't no musician, like I just know how to like make things sound good.
I want to make people realize their own value. I want them to realize that they are the masters of their own content, that they create something, they can share it. If someone else created something, they can contribute, they can help, they can get it and use it the way it's supposed to be.
So it's a terrorism of the mind that actually sustains concepts like intellectual property. It's a terrorism that's grounded on an idea of a brutal repression of that which is actually possible.
If everything is user-generated, it also means that you have to create something in order to be part of the society.
I think one of the things that we are seeing coming out is a culture where things are produced because people care about it, and not necessarily because they hope other people will buy it. So what we will see is things made by the people for themselves.
I don't think I know a person who just listens to it and doesn't try and get involved in some way by producing something.
All of these things that are taking the copyright industry totally by surprise, and they're scrambling with and not able to deal with, for the next generation, is just part of the media landscape. They're natives. They're natives in that media landscape, absolutely. And they're not alone.
I think of myself as a pirate.
You're a pirate too. I'm a pirate.
I'm a pirate. I'm a pirate. I'm proud because I get my music free, so it's all right. I'm proud.
I think we need to have a broad conversation. It's probably going to be an international conversation where people who make things and people who use things, I'm talking about cultural works, sit together and think about what kinds of rules best serve these interests. I don't know that we're going to agree, but I think we need to ask a little bit more about utopia. We need to really figure out what kind of a world we'd like to live in, and then try to craft regulations to match that. Being reactive doesn't cut it.
The future isn't clear for sure, but that's why we're here. We're trying to form the future. We're trying to make it the way we want it, but obviously most people want it to be. And that's why we're doing this.
Let's build a world that we're actually going to be proud of, not just a profitable world for a few very large media companies.
Making money is not the point with culture or media. Making something is the point with media. And I don't think that people will stop making music, stop making movies, stop taking cool photographs, whatever.
Although it's difficult to believe it now, we can do without the entertainment industries. We'll find new ways to get the stuff we want made. We want the world in which we can share, work together, and find new ways to support each other while we're doing it. This is the world we're trying to bring into being.
A force like this, a power like this, zillions of people connected, sharing data, sharing their work, sharing the work of others. This situation is unprecedented in human history, and it is a force that will not be stopped.
People always ask us, who are the League of Noble Peers? And we tell them, you are, I am, even your bank manager is. That's why I'm a vague blur. It's kind of like, insert yourself here. Because we all produce information now.